Welcome back. This is FPS. The Rapture. It is in the Bible. It is the word Harpazo. Before I break this down too much, to let you know this is not a full breakdown. I am just cracking this open so you can get a hint of what's coming. Rapture is the oldest meme in the book. We have the evil guy here tying the damsel down in distress. And then here she is being saved. And here's her face. This is called being enraptured. In distress, formerly, now saved. And she's enraptured. Oh, my knight in shining armor. Thank you. Harpazo is, of course, a word that has many concepts in it. We know that the English language was crafted to have one word per concept, which seemed like a very good way to design a language, but it started cutting out when a word contains many concepts, like Harpazo. Harpazo here seize, snatch, or obtain by robbery. Obtain by robbery. Clearly, this is a slight at Jesus stealing his bride from the hand of the devil. Harpazo, properly, seize by force, snatch up, suddenly and decisively, like someone seizing bounty. To take by an open display of force, not covertly or secretly. To seize, catch up, snatch away, carry off, caught, snatch, snatched away, snatches, snatches away, snatching, take away by force, take by force. The fundamental line is in 1 Thessalonians 4. And those who remain will be caught up together. Those who are alive and remain will be snatched away, caught up in the clouds. Okay, in the clouds, also a big deal. The rest of there's 14 occurrences of the word rapture. Okay, the last occurrence is here in Revelation 12. What we're talking about, September 23rd, signs in the stars and the heavens. Her child was caught up to God. This is a type and shadow of Jesus in Matthew 28 after he gave the Great Commission, which is go make disciples and baptize in my name. He ascended to heaven. The child was caught up to God. The type and cast of the church, which happens in Thessalonians 4. Again, the type and shadow. This is when Philip meets a eunuch who's reading the Old Testament and asks from Isaiah 61, who is Isaiah talking about to Philip? So Philip immediately testifies to him that the Lord has already died and has been resurrected. And when the guy comes to this knowledge of the truth, immediately he says, what do I do? And Philip says, why do you wait? Be baptized. And then the man was baptized, and then Philip was raptured, as an example to us of what the perfect gospel looks like and how hard it is to attain. Everybody mostly that gets saved, like me and you, is many people sowing seeds and many people reaping the fruit as well. But in this case, Philip got a lot, basically the whole fruit. The word is brought up before that. The very first time it comes up is Matthew 11. And it goes through talking about how things are taken or snatched away or caught up. There's a point where Jesus says, whoever God places in my hand, they will stay in my hand, because no man has the power to snatch them out of my hand, with the word harpazo. We don't even really have to talk about 1 Thessalonians 4. We already have just the type and shadow. We have Revelation and the child. We have Philip. We also have this mystery character in 2 Corinthians, which some believe was Paul. Paul may have been referring to himself in third person. Or he was referring to Philip or some other person that was also similarly raptured, like Enoch was. Now, don't forget, before I wrap up this short intro, that this Revelation 12 happens on the day Enoch was raptured, which is the day Enoch was born. So there's a lot of symmetry there. If this is a type and shadow, if Enoch was a type and shadow, the two witnesses are supposed to come down the day that we go up. So, or maybe 3.5 years later, or maybe the same day. if they come down the same day, we go up before the tribulation starts, and then the tribulation is the first 3 years, the two witnesses on earth in Jerusalem preaching fire and spitting it out of their mouth. That would coincide perfectly with what the child was caught up, and then the next sentence goes into how the flood chases her, but the earth swallows up the flood. That is in 11 and 12 of Revelation into 13. That all has a new and fresh timeline. It begins back. Revelation starts at 1, goes through 11 chronologically, and then when it picks up at 10, it flashes back to the beginning of the tribulation and retells the story again and catches us all up in time to the midpoint in the tribulation, in the way that the interlude is Revelation 12's signs in the sky. And so the type and shadow continues to go throughout all of Scripture like it's trying to tell us something. Now, the one thing that I wanted to tell you about the word, that I actually don't have a thing here. Let's just go this way. So this word means caught up, okay? To snatch away, to snatch up. The English word is obviously not sufficient. To really write in the whole phrase, you'd have to write in a whole phrase. Now that phrase would read something like this. To harpazo something is to snatch it up. Well, it's also to snatch it up securely to safety, but it's also to snatch it up securely to safety from danger. That's why we always have the damsel in distress tied to the railroad tracks, and why for our whole lives we've been fed the meme of the hero saving the damsel at the very last moment. Because harpazo means, more specifically, more thoroughly, and this is why our English language is insufficient, even though it's Greek, on purpose. It's because harpazo means to catch up at the very last moment to safety from the very jaws of death, from the very jaws of danger. That's why the railroad car is always coming down the railroad tracks at the very last second she gets snatched up and caught away to safety. That's why we see this meme 1,000 times, because this word harpazo is talking about taking us away from the mouth of danger, which would be the beginning of the Great Tribulation. So we already have inherently in the definition of the word something that implies a changing of dispensations. The dispensations would be something on a timeline. The Great Tribulation is a dispensation. The abomination of desolation happens right in the middle. There's 3.5 years before and 3.5 years after. We know the two witnesses preach on earth for exactly 3.5 years and are destroyed the moment that the devil comes into the flesh, into the abomination of desolation. He walks out from the temple and destroys the two witnesses. They're on the ground 3.5 days, and then they're taken up. Now that taking up could coincide with another rapture, another resurrection that already happened over here. There's at least 3. There's one that happens at the beginning, in the middle, and then the end. After the millennium, at least. The two witnesses, if they come down right here, boom, and are here preaching the gospel in Jerusalem, well, then I'm not needed here anymore. The gospel, the way it's preached right now out of my mouth, ends here. Everything's going to change a little bit. Same salvation, same everything, but there's going to be too much of God revealed to really get the blessing to have believed without having seen or heard. Because you would certainly believe me a little bit more if you had seen the dead resurrected, and then you're hearing me preach a gospel, and somebody comes up to me and I shoot fire out of my mouth and kill them. It's kind of like too easy to believe at that point. It's removing a blessing. So the two witnesses, maybe Enoch and Elijah, are going to be here for 3.5 years before the abomination of desolation. During that time, the 6 seals are going to be opened, where the Gentiles are going to be running around the world doing deeds and also saving. But there's also going to be 12,000 from each tribe who are virgins who don't lie. They're alive right now. They're probably 9 or 12 years old, maybe 15. They're all over the world maybe. We don't know where the Jews are, the 12 tribes are. The moment the rapture hits, these people start preaching the gospel. The Jews regain the gospel and begin preaching the gospel to each other. And presumably, since the two witnesses are standing in Jerusalem preaching fire, the 12,000 from each tribe don't need to be in Jerusalem preaching the gospel. They could be all over the world, right? They all could be gathering everyone back to Jerusalem. But after the abomination of desolation and the death and resurrection and rapture of the two witnesses is another 3.5 years. Some people say that's the quote-unquote Great Tribulation, but the Great Tribulation is 7 years. And the split is that the first part is called the Days of Vengeance, and the second part is called the wrath. Okay? There is some evidence that Jesus comes down to earth and executes his wrath while on Mount Zion, from Mount Zion, with his 144,000. But the previous 3.5 years, are days of vengeance. These are the opening of the 6 seals. So probably open one every 3 months, starting the day of, right? They kick open when it kicks open. And then every 3 months, another seal will open. So about 1.5 years later, all the seals will be open. And then for 1.5 years, you'll have all 6 seals running wild on the earth as a testimony to everything. And that's going to be the final culling of just a little bit. Okay, you guys gone through some horrible tribulation. Believe in God. Because after this point, it's just going to be pure wrath. There's still going to be people saved, but we're talking fire and brimstone mingled with blood and hail from the sky. The shadows, the foreshadows of what's happening before this point, or after this point rather, are foreshadowing before. We're seeing the shadows of the 6 seals open up. It is things like love of men waxing cold, so there's more violence and there's less justice. Beasts are turning on men. During the Great Tribulation, we don't have command over beasts. They attack us. It's over with. The church is going to be conquered by the white rider. The Antichrist is going to have given power over the church. He's going to overcome us. Remember that right now, Peter was given all power. We lose that, or it's gone off. This is the age of grace. This is the whole point. We have a paradigm, a dispensation here where we have more or less all power, but afterwards, if you're going to be taken, you're going to be taken away. The law comes down and says during the days of vengeance, it begins that if you kill by the sword, you'll be killed by the sword. The law comes down. Those with blood on their hands are going to die by blood. That sort of thing. A man's going to bring his own way upon his head. Or God is, rather. And you can go outside and know. Just read the news, man. Everything that's supposed to be happening, boom, with the 6 seals is already being foreshadowed right now. That's how we know it's coming so hard. That's how we know. And when the 2 witnesses come down, there's a strict division here of what they're doing. And it is the church's work. So clearly the church doesn't need to be here while the 2 witnesses are doing that and the 12,000 around preaching the gospel. Because there's still going to be Christians and tribulation saints being saved and being beheaded, but largely they're going to be being rounded up and beheaded. The ones that are going to be allowed to run around are going to be doing great deeds and saving a lot of people. These are the 3 options for the rapture. Now, I would tell you these are actually, there's 2 in here that are real. And then there's another one after the millennium. It won't be a rapture type thing, but it'll be a resurrection. There's 3 resurrections. People will tell you they're all over the place. I believe that we were not called to vengeance or called to wrath. The days of vengeance, this is the days of vengeance and slaughter that we're in right now, meaning that the vengeance that's going to come for these 3.5 years is being earned right now by all the evil on earth. And that's why we're turning our cheek and being, allowing ourselves to suffer, because the vengeance is mine, says the Lord. I will repay. He's going to bring his recompense with him. We don't have to worry about that. They're earning their recompense right now, and it's going to happen then. And he doesn't want us here for that, obviously. If he's going to destroy a city, he's going to get his people out, right? If he's going to bomb a city, he's going to send the call out, everybody that's mine, get out. Well, he's going to rapture us, so we don't have to worry about it. We're supposed to be doing work right up to the very moment. Bottom line is a Greek word that's in the Bible. It means rapture. So you're going to have to figure out for yourself when that is. And you got to figure out if God's going to rapture his people to safety, if he would walk them through the days of vengeance and the 6 seals and then his wrath, where would he take them out? Now, these people that are being saved are definitely going to be protected and anointed. They might transfigure. They might do something crazy that we can't foresee right now. But that doesn't mean, it doesn't negate the fact that he wanted them to be saved before the wrath and vengeance started coming down. Clearly there's some important change here, because after this point, everyone who is a believer is going to have to be beheaded. So, you might get lucky and be a martyr now, but it's not all of us. Most of us are just living our years out and dying. That's not how it's going to be. That's all over with. So again, it continues to argue towards a pre-tribulation rapture. And the rapture is, of course, in the very least, a biblical concept. As I crack open the Bible on the rapture, you're going to hear things before you've never heard before, but that's fine, because you probably haven't heard nothing. That's cool, so you'll just get it straight. I definitely know the rapture is real. It's in my chest. It's called the purifying, sanctifying, blessed hope. And he does not have us hope towards death or vengeance or wrath, but to resurrection, to rapture, to light, to life. He does not have, that's why we suffer now. We're getting our suffering in now. We don't have to live through the tribulation to store up those sufferings. But that is going to wrap this up. This is just a little intro on the word harpazo and rapture being in the Bible. The concept is there, and you're going to have to look and decide for yourself whether or not that rapture is going to be the last thing that happens when Jesus is coming down after their blood is as high as horses' bridles. Like he's going to rapture you as he's coming down. Or if he's going to take you out before something, before danger. If he's going to snatch you out of the jaws of danger to safety. This is FPS. Maranatha.